I didn't say a word. Not when she dropped the fork and said, "I think it's over." Not when she looked at me like I was some half-finished painting she'd grown tired of staring at. Not even when she got up and left her wine half full, like she couldn't be bothered to finish the performance. I just sat there. Table for two, now a table for one and a ghost. The waiter came over, asked if everything was all right. I nodded. Tipped 30%. Paid for both. Because that's who I am, right? The guy who covers the bill even after his wife kills the marriage over mushroom risotto. She thought I'd cry. She wanted me to argue. She expected me to follow her outside, ask for closure, beg to fix things, maybe even get dramatic and block her car with mine in the parking lot. But I didn't. I finished my water, took a napkin, wrote 6 words on it. "Thanks for ending what you ruined." Folded it, left it on her seat. Then I went home, packed a bag, opened the safe, took what was mine, took what she didn't know was hers, took what he didn't know she'd lose. She said it was over, so I ended everything. The bank account, the streaming subscriptions, the joint insurance, the spare key, the surprise weekend trip I had planned that she'd never know was meant for us, not her coworker. You think that's overkill? No. Overkill was her telling me, "It's not someone, I'm just unhappy," when I saw the Uber history on her phone. The one she forgot to delete. The one that showed she wasn't at her yoga class on Wednesday. She never even liked yoga. So no, I didn't scream. I didn't throw her clothes out the window or show up to her office like some viral mess. I just vanished. Quietly. Like a light switch flipping off. She wanted an ending. She got a disappearance. And the silence? It's already breaking her. By the time she got home that night, if you can even call it home anymore, I was already gone. Not in a dramatic way. No slashed tires. No broken dishes. Just absence. I took my toothbrush, the spare laptop, my birth certificate, and every trace of myself that mattered. Even the hoodie she used to steal when she was cold. Especially that. The house was spotless when I left. Cleaner than usual. Like I wanted her to feel the emptiness. The eerie stillness of a man who used to be there and now wasn't. I even vacuumed the rug. Not out of kindness, but because I wanted the only footprints she saw to be hers. No note. No text. No explanation. Just one thing left behind. The wedding photo from our honeymoon in Oregon. The one she always said made us look fake happy. I left it face down on the kitchen table, frame cracked, glass gone. Around midnight, my phone started buzzing. First call, Lorna. Declined. Second call, Lorna again. Ignored. Then, 7 messages in 4 minutes. Where are you? Are you seriously doing this? Everett, this isn't funny. Where's my passport? Did you take the safe key? What is wrong with you? Come home. She didn't expect this. She thought breaking me would come with applause. That I'd chase after her for answers. Beg for an explanation like a dog waiting for crumbs. That I'd need closure. But I wasn't interested in answers. I already had them. Her text history with someone saved as Carly B wasn't from a Carly. It was a man named Brent. And no, I didn't stalk him. She messed up. She sent him my location once by mistake. You don't forget stuff like that. I never told her I knew. That's the thing about betrayal. The louder you react, the more power you give. I didn't want her guilt. I wanted her confusion. I wanted her to go days without sleep wondering how I knew. Wondering when I found out. Wondering what else I had seen. What else I had taken. What else I had planned. And it worked. Because the next morning, she was at my brother's door. He didn't open it. Then at my mom's. I'd already warned her. Then she called my boss. I'd already submitted my remote work transfer request 3 weeks ago. Approved. Silent. Done. She wanted closure. I gave her a mystery she couldn't solve. Now she's the one pacing at night. Staring at the front door. Waiting for the man she thought would fall apart without her. But I'm already building a life where her name doesn't exist. 3 days. That's how long it took for her to break. 3 days of radio silence. No calls back. No messages read. Nothing posted. I didn't even update my socials, which, I'll admit, were mostly just low-effort memes and occasional grilled cheese photos. But to her, that silence was nuclear. I didn't go far, by the way. I wasn't in another state or country. I was less than 40 miles away, sleeping in a rented studio apartment above a bookstore that smells like old paper and cinnamon. The landlord is 85, doesn't ask questions, and only takes cash. Perfect. Lorna didn't know that, though. She thought I'd do what I always did. Overreact, break down, call her mom, then apologize for making her uncomfortable in her own betrayal. But when none of that happened, she unraveled faster than I expected. The first crack came when she called my ex-best friend. I only knew because he messaged me, confused. Apparently, she told him I'd gone unstable. She asked if I'd ever done anything reckless. She even asked if I had a history of mental health issues, something I'd only ever told her about years ago, when we still had trust. I guess she thought smearing me would lure me out. I stayed quiet. Then she posted a picture of us, from 2 years ago. A winter photo in a fake candid pose outside a ski cabin she'd hated. The caption read, "Sometimes you don't realize what you had until it disappears." I didn't like it. I didn't comment. I didn't even open it on my main account. But I watched from a burner, and the comments were gold. "Girl, what happened? Where's Everett? Don't tell me you let this one go." And then one I'll never forget. "You messed up, didn't you?" That one had no likes. But I hope she saw it. Because this wasn't about revenge. Not exactly. This was about vacuum. About emptiness. The kind that eats you alive in bed at 2 a.m. when there's no one to blame but yourself. I gave her that. I gift-wrapped it with her own guilt. By day 4, she drove to my sister's house. Sat outside in her car for 20 minutes before knocking. She cried. Asked if I was okay. Said she made a mistake. That she didn't mean for it to happen like this. That it was just a moment of weakness, and that she'd been feeling lost. Same lines cheaters always use once the backup plan fails. My sister, God bless her, didn't let her in. Just handed her an envelope. It was from me. Inside, a receipt for the hotel room she'd stayed in 3 times with Brent. Dated. Highlighted. Stapled to a printed Uber ride history that ended 1 block from our anniversary dinner. She never saw me watching that night. But I did. She was laughing in the back seat. With him. While I was lighting candles at home. Waiting for her to come straight from work. She said it was over. And now it is. But only for her. By the end of the first week, I could tell she wasn't sleeping. The dark circles under her eyes. The twitch in her voice when she left voicemails. The way she'd start talking normally, then suddenly crack. Like her emotions were trying to punch their way out of her throat. I didn't answer any of her calls, but I listened to every one of them. Not because I missed her. Because I wanted to hear her suffer with that horrible thing no cheater is ready for. Not being forgiven. The 8th voicemail was the one that caught me off guard. She finally said it. Her voice was low, flat, almost hollow. "I messed up, Everett. I know I did. I wasn't thinking clearly, and I got caught up in something stupid. I thought I wanted excitement. But I didn't. I just wanted to feel like someone saw me again." Then, silence. Then, softly. "And I knew you did. You always did. I hated myself for not feeling the same anymore." I waited for the part where she blamed me. That's what they usually do. But she didn't. Not in that message. She just whispered, "If you ever want to talk, I'm still at home. I don't know where else to be." Still, I didn't respond. I went for a walk instead. Down a quiet street where no one knew my name, and the only sound was gravel under my shoes. I realized then that I wasn't numb anymore. I was angry. But not the screaming, wild kind. It was the slow, dangerous kind. The kind that plans. The kind that remembers everything. You see, I hadn't just left. I'd been preparing. Quietly, months ago, when I first got suspicious. I'd made copies of key documents. Moved my personal savings into a private account under my cousin's name. Bought a cheap used car in cash. I'd even started journaling everything. Texts, locations, dates. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was documented. And now it was time to act. The bank accounts were already frozen. She hadn't noticed yet, but she would when her card got declined trying to buy overpriced almond milk and those hair masks she thought made her look 25 again. I'd also canceled the auto pay on her phone. Gave her a few more days of service. Just enough rope. Then click, gone. She wouldn't be able to reach me even if she tried. But my favorite part? The lawyer. I'd quietly retained one the same week she worked late and forgot our dinner reservation. He told me the best revenge wasn't rage, it was control. Cold, legal, soul-dismantling control. And I took that advice to heart. Because it wasn't just about leaving her now. It was about erasing myself in a way that left her shattered in the debris. She thought I'd come crawling back after her half-apology. She thought I'd pick up that phone just because she finally cried. But what she didn't know is that by the time she asked for forgiveness, I'd already started the process to legally remove her name from everything. She tried showing up to my old job. She must have assumed I'd still be there. slumped at my desk, pretending to function while secretly hoping she'd walk in with some teary-eyed confession and a promise to make things right. That I'd melt the moment she reached out, like some overworked laptop finally given a break. But I wasn't there anymore. I'd already gone fully remote, shifted to contract work under a different LLC, paid through a separate bank. Nothing was traceable to her, or our marriage. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was a ghost with Wi-Fi. But I still had eyes on her. Through a mutual friend, one she didn't know I still talked to, I got word that Lorna wasn't doing well. She'd missed 2 meetings at her agency, showed up late in sweatpants, claimed she had the flu. People started asking if she was okay. She told them she was just adjusting to change. That's a soft way to describe being emotionally evicted without warning. That's what silence does to someone who's always been in control. And the irony? She still hadn't told anyone the truth. She was keeping it secret. Our split, the affair, everything. To the world, we were just taking space. I guess that made it easier to avoid explaining why I'd left without shouting, without proof, without catching her red-handed. But she knew. She knew I'd seen something. And the not knowing what I saw, that was eating her alive. Especially now that the money was starting to disappear. Her credit card bounced at the salon. Her Spotify logged her out. The rent. Yes, I let her keep the house temporarily, was suddenly being billed at full price, with no automatic payments from my account. The utilities were in my name, but not for long. A quiet transfer here, a closed account there. She was losing access to everything. And then came the final nail. She tried using the joint health insurance to schedule a therapy session. It flagged. Denied. The provider told her the policy had been split, that she'd been removed and flagged as ineligible. She called me 15 times that day. I didn't answer. Not out of cruelty, but because I already had my answer. Her closure was never going to be a clean conversation. It was always going to be her drowning in consequences. She wanted a reset. I gave her reality. You don't get to throw someone away and expect them to stay in the trash, waiting for you to come back. I wasn't her fallback. I wasn't her doormat. I was the man who used to love her enough to forgive anything. And now, I didn't even care enough to watch her fall apart. The damage was slow, quiet, legal, and irreversible. She texted again at 2:47 a.m. I didn't open it, but the preview said everything. I can't sleep. Please, just one talk. You owe me that. Let me tell you something about people like Lorna. They don't break the way you expect. They don't shatter in the moment. No, they unravel slowly, piece by piece, trying to glue things back with pride and performance. At first, she wanted control. Then, she wanted attention. Now, she just wanted to be acknowledged. Even my silence was starting to feel like punishment she couldn't endure. But what really set her off wasn't the finances. It wasn't the empty house, the vanished bank accounts, or the social silence. No, it was the email I scheduled to arrive exactly 12 days after I left. One line. No emotion. No explanation. You don't get to say it's over and decide how I leave. That single sentence did more damage than any scream ever could. The next day, she called my mother. I'd warned my family ahead of time, and they were loyal. But still, hearing from my mom that Lorna had cried on the phone, after all that, nearly cracked something in me. Not sympathy, not regret, something closer to disbelief. She still didn't get it. She still thought I left to prove a point. No, I left because I saw who she really was when she didn't think I was looking. I left because staying meant erasing myself a little more every day. I left because there was no going back to a life where I was the second option to some generic guy named Brent who wore loafers with no socks and called himself emotionally available. But here's the twist. I wasn't angry anymore. Not like I was in the beginning. I wasn't plotting. I wasn't watching. I wasn't obsessing. I had moved past her. And that, more than anything, is what broke her. Because the worst part of losing someone like me isn't the chaos. It's the silence. The silence that says, I don't hate you. I don't love you. I just don't care anymore. And when you've lived off attention and control your whole life, being ignored feels like death. That weekend, she showed up at my brother's barbecue. Uninvited. No makeup. Hoodie. Shaking hands. She didn't speak to anyone except my sister-in-law, asking, Is he here? Please. I just want to say something. I wasn't there. But my sister-in-law told me she stayed in the car for an hour after that. Just parked. Head down. Alone. And I realized then, I didn't need to destroy her. She was doing it herself. I never wanted revenge to look like a scene from a movie. No yelling in courtrooms. No clothes set on fire. No viral public takedowns. I didn't need a crowd. I just needed her to realize that she no longer lived in my world, and that she never really controlled it to begin with. So I sent the invitation. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't even direct. Just a neutral envelope delivered by hand to our former address. Her address now. Inside was a printed program. A mock design for something she thought she'd never see again. Everett K. Life relaunch ceremony. It looked like a wedding invite at first glance. Elegant paper. Clean font. No return address. Inside, it listed a date, a time, a place. Below that, one simple line. This event marks the official start of a life no longer tied to lies. It wasn't real, of course. There was no event. No party. No champagne. But it shook her. I know it did, because she called 3 times in a row within 10 minutes of delivery. Then again at midnight. Then one final message. You're being so cruel. What do you even want from me? That was the moment I realized something huge. She still believed I wanted something from her. Validation. Guilt. Maybe even her pain. But I didn't. I had zero interest in her regret. Her tears. Her confession. She could cry in every room of that house, and it would still be her own echo answering back. Because when she told me it was over and expected a scene, she didn't realize that walking away in complete silence was the scene. She tried reaching out to mutual friends again. I'd already cut ties. She emailed my manager. He redirected her to HR, who informed her she was no longer authorized to contact me during work hours. I'd even changed my emergency contact from her name to my sister's. Quiet. Precise. Clean. Every move I made erased another trace of her. Not as punishment. As a boundary. And just when I thought she might finally let go, she sent one last message. A photo of us. Taken 3 years ago in front of a cabin we rented during a storm. We were soaked, laughing, wrapped in a blanket. The caption said, "This was real." I know it was. I stared at it for a long time. And then I hit delete. Not out of bitterness, but because real love doesn't make you beg to be seen. Weeks passed. The messages stopped. No more blocked calls. No more surprise visits. No more late-night attempts to just talk. The noise faded, not all at once, but gradually, like static softening on a dying radio signal. And I didn't realize until that quiet truly settled how much of myself I had given up in that relationship. Piece by piece, year by year, until all that was left was a man waiting to be noticed, loved, chosen, by someone who never really saw me. But now I did. I saw myself clearly. My mornings weren't weighed down by waiting for someone's mood to decide how the day would go. I woke up in a place that felt like mine. Not just a rental with walls, but a space that didn't carry the ghost of her perfume, her lies, her second life. I started writing again. I reconnected with an old friend I hadn't spoken to in years, the kind who remembered who I was before I shrank myself to fit someone else's comfort zone. I didn't date. Not yet. This time wasn't for replacing. It was for rebuilding. Not because I was broken, but because I'd been buried. Under expectations. Under guilt. Under a marriage that only worked as long as I kept ignoring my own needs. Lorna sent one more letter, months later. Handwritten. No return address. It was longer than I expected. Apologetic, reflective, maybe even honest. She said she never realized how much space I took up in her life until I was gone. That she had confused love with control. That she still hoped I'd remember her with something gentler than bitterness. I read it. Once. And then I placed it in the drawer with the other documents. Not out of anger, but because I didn't need a response. Not everything broken needs to be fixed. Some things just need to be left behind. Because healing, I learned, isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not a sudden click of moving on. It's quiet. It's sitting in your own silence and realizing you like the sound of it. It's seeing your reflection and no longer cringing. It's finally knowing that you can trust yourself again, and that next time, you'll never settle for someone who makes you feel small just to feel big themselves. I didn't get revenge. I got freedom. And honestly, that was better.